Everybody, it's November 9th, is it? November 9th, Tuesday. I'm Wilson Tang.
I'm Caroline McCarthy.
And I'm Justin Yu, and this is the show where Caroline is starting the 406 podcast. You're starting your own podcast, right? Because you couldn't make the 404 for
Well,
your marathon.
I'm really sorry, guys. I really tried, but, 23 miles in, I'm not going to try to take 2 minutes off my time.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's okay. We're not going to blame you for that. You finished a marathon, and that is a huge feat in and of itself.
Well, thank you very much.
So congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You finished the marathon, and you did it in 4 hours and 6 minutes.
4 hours, 6 minutes, 16 seconds.
Right. And to help us celebrate that, we have Uncle Henry, in the chat.
Hello, everybody.
Right now.
Uncle Henry.
Uncle Henry.
Uncle.
Yeah.
Uncle. You can't say uncle.
Yeah, Uncle.
Doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I'm not even sure.
Uncle Henry.
Yeah.
Uncle Henry. Uncle Henry is I guess he's a regular chat room listener. Listens almost every day in the chat. Really, really great guy. He's come out to a lot of the meetups. You've sat in the background a couple of times. You were on before.
Yeah.
But now we are having you replace Jeff because we just thought that the show needed to be a little more diverse than it was before. So, Henry, we feel like you offer that.
Well, actually, I am Jeff.
Jeff, you're looking
a nice tan. I got Asian out there.
Your eyes are actually less slitty than Jeff's, which is weird because he's white. But you actually came very well prepared. I'm liking that shirt, Henry.
Hey.
Look at that.
no.
I mean,
Is that a custom 404 shirt
there
you're
you
wearing?
go. There you go. Merchandise.
I like that. Did you make that yourself, or did you buy that
Well, actually, you
online?
guys gave it to me. I was walking around Times Square with it. Next to the
Wait,
Naked
what?
Cowboy advertising the 404 for you guys.
We gave it to you?
Yeah, there you go.
Where'd you buy that from?
There's a place in Georgia.
Uh-huh.
And actually, the 404.
Oh, it's the area code.
It's the area code.
Yeah, it's the area code in Atlanta.
Oh, that's very
yeah.
clever. Okay.
All right, so they have plenty of merchandise down in Georgia for you.
Yeah. Very cool.
Okay, so you don't have to make your own.
There's lots of good barbecue down there, too. You guys should do a road trip.
Ooh,
Yeah,
there's Georgia barbecue in New York, but I'm sure that's not as good.
I'm
New York
sure.
barbecue is just not very good.
Yeah,
No.
no,
It
they
really
don't know how to
isn't.
do it.
Having lived in the South, like it just they don't know how to do it right. Now I gotta say, like New York has some of the best food in the world, but we don't do barbecue right by any means.
Can't have everything, I guess.
That's kind
have
of like
everything.
how San Francisco just cannot do pizza.
Right, but New York can't do burritos, right?
I don't really like burritos, so I'm not sure.
Whoa. Okay.
I like tacos. I like
okay,
tacos a
tacos
lot.
are good.
Quesadillas, but yes, they're much better in San Francisco.
Right. I guess there's not a lot of Mexicans in New York, or not nearly as much as there are in San Francisco.
I think
Why
depending on
did you
where-
get
I
so
think
quiet?
depending on
You're
I
where-
don't know. Got like a
Mex-
weird NPR moment.
Oh, you're like, there's not a lot of Mexicans
Yeah.
in New York.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears then and talk about this marathon. Look at this shot. I love that
man.
they
There
give
you
you
go.
this foil blanket thing after you finish the marathon. That's
Yeah.
supposed
That's to keep
you
you
up,
warm,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's totally weird because you finish the thing, and I wasn't like, I got over the finish line, and I was not like, oh my god, I finished a marathon. I was just like, let me sit down,
Yeah.
let me curl up into a ball, and let me drink a beer.
Yeah.
Were you
but
were you euphoric or were you in pain afterwards?
Well, see, first I was in pain. I was
Okay.
just like, because once you finished, you're sort of put into this lineup of everyone else who has just finished, and you're just not moving because people are getting like a bag of Gatorade and water and recovery snacks, and then everyone is picking up the bags that they had checked at the start line. I had not checked a bag at the start line, and so I was looking for a quick exit so that I could just get out of this like bottleneck of people who were not moving.
Right.
But I couldn't do it, and then as one of my teammates, as it turns out, jumped a fence. And I was like,
Was that legal?
No, in retrospect, I'm like, no one would have stopped me, but I don't think I physically could have jumped a fence at that point.
Yeah.
Because I'm standing in this non-moving mass of people, and I was just thinking, I'm gonna fall over. My legs are not gonna hold me up for another minute.
Yeah.
And so I was just very, very antsy to get right out of there. But then, so I got out and I was back on Central Park West out of the park and was walking down to Columbus Circle where my team, because I was on this charity team, and thank you again to everybody who listens to the 404 who donated.
Well, yeah, I mean we're not just talking about this because you ran a marathon.
Yeah.
That's great. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of other people, but part of it is that you were raising money for Camp Interactive.
Yeah, which is a great after-school center in the Bronx that does they do like technology, like computer photography lessons for at-risk kids, and they also do like outdoors and skiing type stuff. And so they want to start a running team, and so
And
this was their.
You set a goal. You wanted to raise $5,000.
5,000, and I raised 5,400.
54,
which is
Whoa,
awesome.
Congratulations.
Great.
So yeah, thank you to everyone, including the people in this room who donated. But anyway, so we had this like meetup point at a gym near Columbus Circle, and as I was walking back there, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. This is awesome. Most people don't do this, and this is sort of a quintessential cross it off the bucket list accomplishment.
Right.
But then yeah, it was so the sort of the euphoria built up gradually. It was not instant.
Right. I got to ask you, too, did you check in Foursquare for every mile? I heard that people
No.
were actually
Okay.
using Mayor Maker to check
Yes.
themselves in automatically
Okay,
at
so
every mile.
this is actually very interesting, and I'm thinking I might write a story about this, but I'm not 100% sure. Is that the race infrastructure?
Okay.
The amount of electronic equipment and communications equipment that they had set up was messing with cell reception and GPS.
Okay.
Cell reception GPS was just people who had their cell phones with me. I had mine strapped in a little pack on my back, which was great because I didn't notice that it was there, and it meant I didn't have to check a bag at the start line.
Right.
There was, especially at the finish line, like cell reception was just completely knocked out.
So wait, what
So-
kind of technical things were they setting up there? I know that they were some people were
Yeah.
wanting to be tracked by GPS, and that
Right.
didn't work for a lot of people.
yeah,
right?
the consumer grade GPS was not working for a lot of people. Even the official text alerts that you could sign up for. So my dad signed up for these text message alerts that were going to send my location or my time to him every 5K of the race.
Okay.
And he said they weren't coming in on time, and he was just like, I wonder where she is. So
I can imagine that after 100,000 people cross that mile mark.
yeah, that I think that the sheer volume of people and the equipment that it takes to put together a race like this, because there's a lot of it. You need the tracking equipment, you need the communications equipment. Then you have all the spectators and all their cell phones hogging the airwaves. So I think that that Mayor Maker for most people did not work.
I feel like, especially in New York,
Yeah.
everybody knew at least 2 or 3 people who were running that race. I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
I almost feel like it was call it the heyday, but social media and
Yeah.
technology really helped a lot of people track that.
Right.
This was my birthday. I'll be honest, I was waking up slightly hungover.
Well, people were doing an amazing physical feat. You were waking up and eating an omelet in bed.
Exactly.
That's
I
a
was
little
like,
different.
That
I
sounds
need
so much more
pizza.
fun than running a marathon.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, I want a pizza.
But he didn't raise $5,500 for charity.
Exactly. But the whole time, I was on Twitter, and I was there were several iPhone apps tracking a lot of friends
Oh,
who
yeah.
were running the race.
Yeah, I think that it was great. I mean, so Foursquare had this partnership with Runkeeper, and then Dennis, who's been on the 404 before, hooked up Mayor Maker so that it would check you in at every mile.
Right.
And so I had all that stuff turned on my phone, and it just like not even at the start line. It just did not work.
Because
at all.
that uses GPS to
yeah,
check you in.
and GPS was I have a really good Garmin watch that I had turned on the entire time with GPS to set my pace. And which is pretty important for me because I haven't been running competitively for that long since a decade ago in high school.
This is your first marathon.
This is my first marathon, and so I needed to be able to pace myself and also to know when I was lagging a little bit because that doesn't come instinctively to me.
Yeah,
And that threw me off at first because the first 2 miles of the race are over the Verrazano Bridge from Staten Island to Brooklyn.
Right.
And my
You're
watch
not
was
afraid of heights or anything like that, right?
No.
Okay.
my watch was not working at all.
Yeah.
Like it was, and so I'm looking at it, and it's logging like 12-minute miles on there, and I'm like, look, I know I'm supposed to run slowly for the first 2 miles, but I know I'm going more quickly than this.
Right.
And then again over the 59th Street Bridge, it started thinking I was going much slower than I was. So
Now, this is a little surprising to me. Longtime fan of the show, Uncle Henry apparently is a 7-time marathon runner
and
as
the
well?
Empire
York
State
City.
Building run.
Empire
Yeah.
State Building.
So explain what the Empire State Building run is, because my mom did this as well when I was a kid, and the concept just sounds insane to people that haven't run a marathon before.
Your mom does some weird things.
Yeah,
Justin.
she
had
run a ton
Justin,
of
so you
marathons.
gotta-
Obviously, she's used to the pain by now from living with me for 18 years. But yeah, Henry, can you
But I
explain
tell
what
you,
the
the Empire State Building?
Yeah.
It's unique. You start off running in the lobby first, but this is while people are there. So,
Right.
so they're looking at people in shorts, they're wondering, what's going on here. But once they start the race, you actually run and funnel into a stairwell. And now you're in the staircase thinking, well, should I run it step by step or
Right.
skip steps? Running up, or should I jump up 3 steps as I'm running up? But the unique thing is you're running in the stairwell. Of course, you're going to need water. So you come out to the hallways at the 20th floor,
Right.
come out at a water
okay.
stop, run back into the stairwell, go back up 40th
So-
floor. You do the same thing. So every 20
And there's
floors.
86 floors in the Empire State
That's
Building
right.
that you have to
86
run up.
floors.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, it's hot in there.
Oh, I bet with all the people.
And it's such a confined space.
It's
yeah.
confined.
Now, do you run up and then you run back down?
No.
Oh, okay.
Once you get to the top, it's the usual place that everybody sees.
Right.
You run out and right to the elevator. You
Yeah.
take the elevator down.
That elevator must smell awful.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's just looking at each other in
yeah.
disgust. You smell horrible.
Well, it's like a Stairmaster minus the E.
Oh, I tell you,
Yeah.
you're talking hard on the quads.
I bet.
And actually, it's only a quarter mile up.
Uh-huh.
But you're climbing the entire
You're
time.
climbing, exactly.
I remember my mom telling me stories about people passing out in the staircase.
Yeah, because
and people would
there's no
have to
air.
come in and take them out, and everyone would just continue stepping over them
Right,
on the way
right.
up to the top.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
And I tell you, when you get up there, also you're starting to rely on the railing a lot,
Oh.
and you're pulling yourself on the railing going
Yeah.
up. Also,
Now, does altitude come into?
no.
It's not
No,
that.
no,
Okay,
no,
yeah,
we
because
don't
the dentist's office I go to is at the top of the Chrysler Building, and the first time I went there, I was like, does altitude come
Is
into
there a
into
nitrous
place?
leak
Is it
already?
gonna-
Like,
yeah. I was just sort of wondering if anything funny was going to happen when they were like pulling a
But-
tooth out of my
But
mouth.
it-
Yeah.
but it's a
Goodness knows
very
how high.
quick race, because
Yeah.
it's a place of business.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening during business times.
Yeah.
Doesn't it only
How
take
long,
15 minutes or something
Yeah,
like that?
yeah.
That's
About
crazy.
that.
I'd struggle just getting into the elevator to the CNET building and then climbing the 4 stairs there.
Right. Yeah.
Crazy.
It's
Oh,
fun.
man.
What happens when you run for a long time? You start finding unique things to
Yeah.
run in the same way.
I mean, I think I talked about doing the. Did I talk about doing the Ragnar relay on the air once?
Ragnar relay?
That was that's the 180-mile overnight race.
Oh, you did that before, right?
Yeah, I did that in May,
Ooh.
and that's kind of what got me back into running.
Right.
Wait, the 180-mile.
It's
You run
it's,
180.
Your team does. It's a
Oh,
relay.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I
there
was just
are
like,
12 people on each team, and it's like overnight, and there are teams in costumes, and
Right.
like it's ridiculous. There are a lot of ridiculous races
Now,
out there.
now Justin has announced earlier today that he's going to be running the marathon next year.
It's actually an Ironman.
Oh, okay, all right.
Which is a little bit more difficult. I'm not going to toot my own horn here, but I will be doing it nude. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, in the pre-show, we were talking about all the wacky people that you saw running the marathon with you.
Yeah.
Like there was one guy who was juggling, you were saying?
There was so this is what I have not confirmed that he actually finished the thing, but when I was
Okay.
at the start line, I saw a guy juggling, and I was like, oh, okay. This is, it's a guy who is juggling at the start line to ease some nerves.
Right.
Then I saw somebody post a twit pic of the guy juggling while running. Apparently, he ran the whole thing while juggling.
So, okay, we actually have a shot of this on the screen right now for our video watchers.
What was his time?
His name is, I don't know what his time was,
Did
but
you
he
do
did
3
finish the
hours?
race and he juggled the entire thing with 3 balls in his hand the entire time. And he does hold the record for the fastest 50-mile run while
Oh
jogging.
yeah, they call it joggling.
Joggling. Yeah.
Actually, a friend of mine from college has entered some shorter joggling races.
I didn't know this was a thing, but apparently it is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you were also saying that like there's people dressed up in costumes.
Yeah.
Not that many. Like there, I would say the costumes are mostly restricted to superheroes.
Yeah. We were saying before that you're going to see every superhero there. You always see Gumby.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh no,
Gumby's always there.
I know I have a friend who ran the Hoboken Halloween 5K
Right.
dressed up as Gumby, and there's this amazing photo of him leaping over the finish line, fist pumping in this Gumby costume.
Wow.
And he ran the thing. So he's in a full body Gumby suit for a 5K. His average pace was like a 7:49 mile.
That
That's
doesn't sound
not bad
good. No, that's
considering
really good.
the ability to
Oh, yeah.
breathe in that thing must have just been.
Must be sweating the whole time.
Yeah.
But you mentioned also the rhinoceros.
Yeah, there
I
was.
saw it years ago. It's
Yeah.
a huge rhinoceros.
There's somebody who runs this thing apparently every year, or the suit gets worn every year. And he's
I can imagine how that
Yeah.
suit smells.
wearing this rhinoceros costume. That like it's a big, I guess, paper mache head.
Oh my
I passed him. He was not going very fast.
Wilson, you and I should do it next year, but as a 2-man horse costume. I will be the rear of the horse, bending over the entire time, and you will wear the head.
I was gonna say we should do it as like the Chinese lion thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go
Lion dance.